Check, check, check. I do not know if this is streaming yet. Hopefully it will be streaming very soon. Always awkward starting off these live streams because I don't know exactly when it starts streaming after I hit the button. But it says, your internet, the internet can totally see you now. To stop, use your encoder. So I'm guessing that this is working now. Let's see, is anyone in here? Do I have anyone watching? I have 0 people watching. Hopefully that will change. Well, if you're watching the recording of this live stream, since there's no one actually watching in the channel, welcome. And welcome to the 4th Crosstalk Solutions live stream. I don't have much of an agenda for this live stream. I'm basically just going to kind of wing it, and I'm going to do some stuff in FreePBX. I have a brand new Sangoma S500 phone that I can play with, and I have a bunch of commercial modules that are loaded into my FreePBX that I have not yet had a chance to check out. So that will be the agenda for today. Basically, I want to play with the Sangoma phone. There is one thing that I'd like to get working, and that is hot desking. So according to the manual of this phone, you should be able to do hot desking by setting up extensions without MAC addresses, giving them the template of a phone, and then you can use the user manager, supposedly, to log in and out of the phone directly from the phone's console. So that's one of the things that I'd like to try to accomplish today. I think it's the first thing I'm going to try. And then I guess we'll go from there. We'll see what we can do. It looks like, oh, hello. Oh, there's some people. It looks like some people are watching now. 4 people. Hey everyone. Let me know if you can see this. Okay, here we go. So I think it says 4 people watching, so I think the stream is started. I'm just gonna wait a second, see if anyone types back to me. There we go. Alec can see it. Welcome, Alec. Hope you're doing okay, and I hope everyone's doing okay. I hope you guys are having a wonderful Friday, and I hope you're gonna have a wonderful weekend. Out here in Oregon, it is pretty rainy and stormy outside, believe it or not. Who would have thought? It's rainy and stormy on the Oregon coast. Okay, so 4 people watching. Hello, Henrik. Hello, Brian. How are you guys doing? Thank you for joining me. Anyone else that's out there, feel free to say hi. 7 people watching now. Holy moly. Well, hello, everyone. Again, have a great weekend. And so, yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and get started. As with all of my live streams, if you guys have any questions about FreePBX, if you have any comments, or if you'd like to see anything or anything like that, this is totally open forum. Feel free to ask away. Just use the YouTube comments. Oh, all the way in Sweden. All right, Henrik, wonderful. And I hope you're drinking some warm stuff out there in Sweden. Okay, and I'm just going to start off today with this Sangoma phone. So I just got this in the mail yesterday from Sangoma. They sent me a free phone. I don't know if you can see it or not, but it has a nice little scratch on it. I was a little disappointed about the fact that they sent me one with a scratch screen, but it's a free phone, so I should not complain. Anyways, I just did a video on this phone. I set it up for 0 configuration, which means basically the nice thing about this phone, or the cool thing about these Sangoma phones, is they come with the endpoint manager. You don't need to have the endpoint manager purchased to work with this phone in FreePBX. It's all part of the FreePBX sort of infrastructure. So basically, you can buy this phone, set up an extension, give it the MAC address and the type of phone, and then plug the phone in, and as long as you have DHCP option 66 on your network, which I do, the phone just goes out, gets its config, and it's all set up and ready to rock and roll. So that's pretty cool. But the one thing that I did want to figure out with this phone is hot desking, because apparently you can also do hot desking with these phones, meaning that you can give it, I think the way that it works is you give it a, you set it up in the endpoint manager, but you don't give the extension a MAC address. So that way when the phone boots up, it gives you the option to log in as one of the buttons, and then you just log in with the basically your user manager username and password, and supposedly you can make this phone hot desk, meaning it'll take on whatever extension appearance you're logging in as. So that's pretty cool, and I'd like to try to figure out how that works. I'm going to just try to do it, but I know there was a wiki article that also showed. Actually, I'll pull up the wiki article. Why not? wiki.freepbx.org. Let's see if I can find it. And I'm going to switch off of my big old dumb face here. Dude, I think that's how you do it. Come on. How come this is not working? There we go. Okay. So why was the hotkeys not working? Oh, now it's working. All right, sorry. Again, I'm still pretty new to live streaming, guys, so bear with me. But all updates. Oh, here we go. Okay, so let's see. So phones. And here's the Sangoma phone. This is the S700 here. But let's see. Let's look at getting started. And I know I saw something. Using your phone. No. Getting started. Setting configuration server. Connect Sangoma phone to FreePBX or PBExact. Okay, so I've already got it connected to FreePBX, but let's look at hot desking. Okay, so setting up Endpoint Manager to allow for hot desking. In order to use hot desking, the default login option has to be enabled in Endpoint Manager. Okay, so let's do that first. Navigate to Global Settings. Okay, so let's take a look here. 10 people watching now. Hello, everyone. Make sure you introduce yourself, say hello. All right, so we're going to go over to my Endpoint Manager. Because I already do have this phone set up, but I'm going to try to do this hot desking here. So I'm going to click on the Global Settings. This should work very similarly in both FreePBX 12 and 13. So even though I'm using FreePBX 13, it should work well in both. So here we go. So Global Settings, enable the XML API REST app default login option. Enabled. Okay, so that's already enabled. Okay. Verify your internal or external IP addresses are defined. Okay, I'm only doing internal, so that's fine. Save your changes by clicking Save Global. Okay, so brand new phone setup. In our examples below, we'll be using an S700 and have pointed the phone to our PBX so it knows where to look for the configuration as outlined in our blah blah blah. Okay, so they're saying that they gave the phone the configuration server information, which this one already has. In fact, I should probably factory reset this one. But let me read a little bit further. Okay, so the phone will present us with two login options: login internal, login external. Pick this option to log into the local subnet or remotely. Okay, so logging into the phone, you'll be prompted for your extension and password. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. So I think this also depends on not having a MAC address specifically assigned to this phone already. So I'm going to go in and delete the MAC address on the extension that I created earlier. So let's see, extensions. And again, guys, for anyone joining, anyone that just started watching, if you have any questions about FreePBX, that's part of the reason that I'm here. I'm happy to answer your questions about FreePBX, networking, voice over IP in general, anything that you might have questions about, please feel free to ask. So Alec has an issue. I just set up my FreePBX server and I came across a few problems. I do not hear the dial tone when ringing. I do not hear the dial tones when ringing, and when I call my cell, it comes up unknown, and on both ends I hear nothing. Okay, so Alec, when you have one-way or no-way audio, almost 100% of the time, that is a firewall issue. So check your firewall, make sure that you don't have double NAT, make sure that that you don't have like SIP ALG turned on. You make sure that you don't have SIP ports opened but pointing through to some other server. If you're registering a phone outbound or a trunk outbound, you don't need to have SIP ports open. Okay? Okay, and Henrik has a question. I got a question. Can you monitor another extension on a handset and also do fast call transfer to soft keys? So yes, you can do a transfer with a soft key, and you can monitor another extension. You can monitor another extension by using, there's two ways to do it. You can use Chan Spy, which is by default feature code 555 in FreePBX. That allows you to listen in on another extension. But I don't like using that because that's sort of, I actually like to disable Chan Spy. What I like to do though is use what's called the Flash Operator Panel. And with the Flash Operator Panel you can monitor extensions, but you also have a permission structure. So you can set up a permission structure and set, like, I have permissions over the people that I have permissions to monitor. Right? And then they can't monitor me, but I can monitor them. And that's probably, like, for best practices, that's probably the better way to do it. I got a question regarding IAX trunks. When do you use them and what purpose do they serve? Good question. Okay, so IAX trunk, it's pretty self-explanatory if you know what IAX stands for. IAX is Inter-Exchange Protocol. Okay, so Inter-Exchange. So when do I use IAX trunks? I use IAX trunks when I need to connect two asterisk servers together. You can use SIP, but it's a pain in the butt. SIP is, registration port of 5060 usually, and then RTP ports from 10,000 to 20,000. So if you're going across a firewall, that's a real pain in the ass to do. So using IAX, it only uses a single port. I think the port's 4569. Someone could correct me on that if I'm wrong. But it uses only port 4569, so you only have to open up one port in the firewall, and you can pass traffic between asterisk servers a lot easier than trying to make a SIP trunk through the firewall. Okay, so here's my Sangoma S500 extension. I'm going to scroll down here to the endpoint manager. Now notice that I already have this set up with a MAC address. I'm going to delete this here. And I'm also going to go into the user manager. Let's give it a name. What should we call this? I'll use presidential candidates. So this phone's going to be Donald. This extension is going to be Donald Trump. Okay. So Donald Trump is extension 208. And then I got to go set Donald Trump's password in the user manager. First though, I'm going to create another extension. So let's do add extension. Generic ChanSIP device. We'll do extension 209. We'll call this one Hillary Clinton. And we're going to say the brand is Sangoma. I'm not going to put a MAC address. I'm going to use my default Sangoma template. And the model is going to be S500. Okay, we're going to create a new user. I'll give this one a password of 12345. Again, user passwords. Listen, I'm doing this for demo purposes only. User passwords should be very strong. Okay. Okay. So status enabled on voicemail. Voicemail password. I'll also do 12345 and submit. Okay. Now let me go set Donald Trump's user password. Henrik, I'll get to your question in just a second here. I don't want to lose my focus. So admin, user management. Okay, so it says Sangoma S500, but this is actually Donald Trump, so I'm going to click on this. We're going to change the display name to Donald Trump 208, and the password, we're going to again say 12345. Okay, so let's scroll down and update. Okay, apply our config. And now I'm going to factory reset this phone and see what it does, because theoretically this phone, after I factory reset it, should boot up. It should get option 66 from my DHCP server, and it should pop onto the server and say, okay, hey, I'm here. What extension should I be? There should be a button that allows me to log in as one of the users that I just created. Theoretically. Okay, so let's see. All right, Henrik, while I'm waiting for this to reload, how was your experience to run FreePBX on the Raspberry Pi? Is it good for running 10 extensions? My experience sucked on the Raspberry Pi. I did not like it at all, and I totally gave up on that project, and here's why. The Raspberry Pi was very, very susceptible to power outages and power fluctuations. So I found, now I've talked to other people that don't have this same problem, but for mine, I found that if I lost power on the Raspberry Pi for any reason, like we have, I'm out here on the Oregon coast, we have like pretty severe weather, the power can go out for an hour or two at a time sometimes. And that's what had happened. Over the course of a couple weeks, we had a couple of major power outages where my UPS was not sufficient to keep all of the devices online, and that Raspberry Pi lost power. 2 times in a row that happened, it blew out the entire configuration. So it basically like borked the card somehow, or borked the little micro SD card. And I had to reformat the card and reinstall the Raspberry Pi and then go through and do all the settings, hook up my extensions, blah, 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 right? And so after a while, after that happened a couple times, I just did not have a good experience with that at all. And I said, forget it. I'm done with Raspberry Pis on FreePBX, and I'm not interested in running that in production because, or I should say, I can't in good conscience recommend to anyone that they run one in production because of that issue that I experienced. Now, I haven't gone back to it yet, and as a matter of fact, I even have unopened a Raspberry Pi Zero that I'd like to test out. This has been sitting on my desk for probably 6 weeks now, unopened, and I just haven't gotten to it. So maybe if you guys are interested in the Raspberry Pi Zero, I can certainly open it up during this live stream and check it out and try to get it working with FreePBX. So time permitting, and if there's a major demand where you guys want to see that, I'm more than happy to do that. Okay, so let's go ahead and factory reset this thing. Now, I know I can factory reset it from the console here, but let me just go in here. I'm going to say status. I don't know if you can see that at all. Status. And we're going to go to network. And this shows me the IP address is 192.168.200.218. So I have not yet gone into the portal for this thing. So we're going to see it. You guys are going to see it for the first time along with me here. 192.168.200.218. Admin, I believe, are the default credentials. Oh, wait, no, admin, but it's already been configured with my endpoint manager, so it should be admin 222.222, right? Yes. Okay, good. Okay, so kind of a plain-looking interface. Product model S500, account 1 registered, WAN port type DHCP, memory free, system time. It's been up for 35 minutes and 37 seconds. I literally just got this phone unboxed today. I did a video on it, and then I finished that video about 20 minutes before this live stream. So I have not had that much time to play around with this thing yet. So all right, let's take a look here. Account, home, status, account, basic, codec, advanced. Let's look at what's in here. Account, basic. Account 1, okay, so we can select our 4 accounts. This phone can do up to 4 accounts. I got all of this information from the TFTP server. Let's look at our codecs. Standard stuff. Oh, current setting is PCMU. Oh, G722 is way down here. Choice 6. That's interesting. Preferred vocoders listed in order. G722 is at the bottom. That's odd. All right, let's look at advanced. DTMF type, some NAT settings, SRTP. It can do SRTP if you get it set up that way. Again, one of the other really cool things that I'm interested in with this phone, besides the hot desking, is the fact that it's supposedly very easy to do OpenVPN directly from this phone to a FreePBX server. And I don't know if that requires FreePBX 12, or, I mean, if it requires FreePBX 13. I think it does, but that's a really, really cool feature, because if they're making it super easy to do OpenVPN from a phone directly to FreePBX, that's going to be huge for the remote phone industry. Like, I have clients right off the bat that would buy one of these because of that, because, you know, opening SIP ports through the internet is dangerous. Pardon my coughing and sniffling. If you guys have noticed, my whole family's had a cold the last 2 weeks, and we're all just getting over it. So, okay, so I don't see anything else. So this is all advanced stuff. All right, let's look at our network. Network basic. Okay, so it's set to DHCP. PC port as bridge. I don't see a place to do VLAN ID. PC port as router. PC port connect to expansion module. That's interesting. If set to this mode, PC port can connect to expansion module because it has an EXT port. Yeah, there's an EXT port on the back for an expansion module. But I guess you can also connect through the PC port. That's really interesting. I've never seen that before. Or as router. So you can make it a router as well. Port map, WAN port 0. Oh, that's interesting. I guess this is port forwarding when you have it in router mode. Crazy. So you can make this phone a router? Huh. All right, let's look at network advanced. Maybe this is where the VLAN settings are. No? Oh, yeah, no, DHCP VLAN, I see. Yeah. Oh, this is for option 132 VLAN, I see. Oh, here we go, look, VPN. Active, yes. Upload VPN config. So you can give it the open VPN configuration file right here, import that into the phone, and then, you know, do all of that on your local network, then send this phone with someone or mail it out to someone remote, and then they can plug it in, and it's set to VPN in automatically. That's pretty bitchin'. Okay, so let's see what else we got. Function keys, line keys. So this is all stuff that's programmed by the endpoint manager, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. It does say there's 28 programmable keys, even though it lists 35 here. I don't know, 28 programmable keys. Menu. Huh. Because maybe you can like have the keys on the side and do more or something. I'm not sure what all the keys are. Again, I'm just learning this phone, guys, so forgive me for not being super versed in it just yet. It does say there's an intercom button. Intercom. Star 80. Send. No, I don't think I have intercom set up in FreePBX. I think you have to set up a default intercom account or something. So here's your actual the actual button keys that you can set. Oh, another question here. Sorry for asking again. Back to the monitoring extensions. I was just thinking more like monitoring who in a group is free to take a call and to transfer easy like older PBXs. Okay, so the way to do that is with BLF. Okay, so if you just want to be able to, like at a glance, look at your phone, well, two ways to do it. FOP2 can still do that because it's an operator panel that allows you to see you know, who's on a call, who's not on a call, and you can certainly group extensions into a group if you want. The other way to do it is with BLF, and you can do it with a big old phone like this one. Okay, so look at this thing. This is the Yalink T48G. It's got all sorts of soft key buttons down the side, and then attached to it I have an EXT40 expansion port with not only all of these buttons here, but there's 2 pages of these buttons. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20, and then you go page 2, 30, 40 buttons. Okay, so you can have up to 40 BLF keys, and by the way, you can put another expansion module onto this if you want. I think up to 3, maybe it's, I don't know, there's 2 or 3 you can add onto this. I've never had to do more than 1. But then you can list all of your extensions as BLFs, and you have, you know, the light or the button turns red if they're on the phone. I think it's either off or green when they're available, and then red when they're on the phone. I forget exactly how it looks. But so there's one way you can do it, right? So that's a nice way for like a receptionist to see who's on the phone, who's not on the phone. And even with this big old display here, you can have, you know, buttons down the side. So if you only need to monitor BLFs for like a small handful of extensions, you don't even need the sidecar. You can just do it right here on the phone itself. If you guys want to see this thing booted up and powered on, let me know. I can fire it up. But I'd have to get the PoE adapter going. Okay, back to my Sangoma phone. Okay, so let's see what else we have here. Preference, features, date and time, tones. Okay, so let's look at preference. Setting preferences. Web language, blah, blah, blah. Here's volume settings. Screen photo. Doesn't say the type, so does it show me the dimensions? No. You just notice that when I uploaded my logo into this phone, but it squished it a little bit because it's the actual, the image logo that I used was for the dimensions of that huge ass phone, the T48G. So it squished it on this phone, but it did work. It actually did work. It's just a little bit squished. Okay, so let's see. Here we go. A bunch of other options in here. Let's see if I can do, let's see, management, auto provision. No, let's see, upgrade. See if I can factory reset it right here. Reset to factory. Here we go. All right, reset to factory settings. Okay. Okay, so rebooting. The phone should reboot now. Please wait 40 seconds for the phone to reboot. Reboot, please wait. All right, so now it's rebooting. Yes, Patrick, the Yalink T46G is my preferred receptionist phone. And the only difference between, while this is rebooting, the only difference between the T46G and the T48G, and this is the T48G, so the T48G, notice, has no actual physical buttons down the side. It's all soft buttons, and it's got a touchscreen display, which is fine, but I do actually prefer the T46G, which has the buttons down the side. That's, to me, the better way to go. It's a little bit, less expensive of a phone. I think it's by about $50 or so, and I just prefer to have the actual physical buttons to press because, especially if you're arm's length, sometimes you can miss the button. I don't know. I personally prefer tactile buttons over touchscreen, but ultimately it is user preference. This phone is for a customer that ordered 19 of those T48Gs. So even in their lunchroom, they've got a T48G, which I wouldn't typically recommend, but hey, if a customer wants it, a customer can have it. So, okay, so this phone now is set. It's saying check firmware, please wait. And you know what? I didn't rebuild my templates in the endpoint manager before I factory reset this thing, so it might still pick up the old extension. We'll see. Welcome to the stream, everyone who's just joining. There's 15 people watching now. Thank you so much for joining me. Yeah, it picked up my old extension. So let me go back in and see if I can't force that out. Let's see. Settings, endpoint manager. Extension mapping. They should be brown. No, they're green. Why are these green? All right, well, I'm going to select all, save and rebuild, use selected, and hopefully that'll do it. I'm going to have to factory reset this thing again, and maybe I'll have to go back to the hot desking explained. Setting up endpoint manager to allow hot desking. I already did all that. You will be prompted to enter your extension and password, which I didn't get. All right, so I've rebuilt these extensions. It should, well, let's go take a look at the actual extensions in the console here. Oh, you're always asking for my open VPN on the Edge router. No, I will probably not do a tutorial on how to set up open VPN on the Edge router. Reason being is, I give away a lot of stuff for free on YouTube, guys, but I do still have to make a living at this stuff, right? So some of the more advanced things that you would normally want to hire a consultant for, I typically don't give away for free. So that's one of those things that falls into that gray area of what should I give away for free and what should I save for my paying consultant customers. So that one I probably will never do. Okay, logging in. Let me make this bigger so it's a little bit easier to see here. Change settings. Appearance. Change. Sorry, man. Okay, that looks a little bit better. All right, so let's go to cd tftp boot. Okay, so here is, I think this is the MAC address. Yeah, so this is the MAC address of that phone. And I think maybe I just need to delete that. So there's like also a config blah, blah, blah. So I think because since this phone's MAC address is finding, see, look at the time on this, 11:35. Okay, so the new ones that I just set up are 11:52. This one's 11:35. So I think, yeah, that's been an hour since this was created. So since this file exists, it's downloading that configuration. So I think I just have to delete that file. So let's just do this. rm cfg000. Didn't I get it right? cfg00005, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so I removed this phone's configuration file. Yeah, so it's gone now. And now, let me factory reset it again. Okay, so back in the phone, click to relog in, admin 222222. And now, when it reboots, it doesn't have a configuration in the TFTP folder. And it should give me that login functionality. All right, so let's go back to management, auto provision, no, management upgrade, reset to factory. Okay. All right, so we're going to factory reset that one again. I just did a video on Ubiquiti VLANing. That's kind of more of an advanced topic that I probably typically wouldn't have done, but I kind of just felt that I got enough questions about it, and VLANing is relatively simple to do. You know, there's all sorts of articles on how to do it online and stuff, so it's not that difficult in operation. So I did a video on that, so that was a little bit more of a little bit more of a advanced video that I just put out. All right, let's see. Brian, I own an IT company and am just getting into phone system installs. Being a newbie, if I ever run into a problem, would I be able to purchase consulting time from you? If so, how much? Okay, so yeah. I actually do quite a bit of work for MSPs out there that you know, use me as their backup phone guy, or they don't even have a phone guy, and they have a bunch of customers that when they need to sell them a phone system, they just call me, and I represent that company for their customer. So yeah, I do that all the time. I'm happy to do it. As far as how much, I don't want to talk about that on the live stream, but you're welcome to contact me at crosstalksolutions.com. I will give you my rates. Okay, so this phone said initializing. Now it's back to check firmware. Man, why does Open Broadcaster... Come on, switch. Oh, there we go. Okay. Check for... Oh! Ah, look at... Can you guys see that? Oh, it's so... There we go. I don't know if you can see that. Login, internal. So since I only have an internal IP address, that's the only option I get. But let's go ahead and try to log it in. Log in. Loading, please wait. Failed to load XML file. Wait a minute, let's try this again. So I did something wrong. Failed to load XML file. So it's not working. Alright, so it's not working. I know... that this is one of the REST apps. So let's go check our REST apps and see if we can figure out why that's not working. Admin, REST phone applications. Let's see if there's any settings in here. Endpoint manager, what would this be? Is it hot desking? Parking presence, queues, applications. Let's see, applications. This module does not currently have any settings. Okay. Oh, hang on. Sorry, guys. There we go. So I went over here to admin, REST phone applications. And here we go. So let's see. Q's presence. No, I don't think it's presence. Endpoint manager. Let's take a look here. User manager authentication. Here we go. If enabled, users must authenticate against user manager instead of extension voicemail and password. Require administrator password if an extension is already in use. And require logout password. All right, so I'm going to say this. That must be why it wasn't working, maybe? All right, let's submit that. User manager authentication. Okay, didn't require me to hit apply or anything. Nope, still says failed to load XML file. All right, so let's see, what else? Let's go back to, well, let's go back to our instructions here. Okay, so you'll be prompted for your extension and password. The password by default is your voicemail password. If you do not have a voicemail box set up on your account, you would use the user password as defined in the Endpoint Manager global settings. Okay, so, but I'm not even getting that far because it's not even allowing me to load the application. Okay. Do I have that enabled? So Endpoint Manager. Admin login override. I don't know what that is. Okay, so this should work. I wonder if other apps work on this phone. Or if there's just some sort of general problem going on. Let me just make sure my modules are all up to date. These are the problems that I would normally just pop onto the FreePBX IRC channel and see if they have any sort of solution for me. So module admin, REST API. Oh, it's not REST API, it's REST phone applications. Licensed and working. Okay, well, let's see if we can, I wonder if there's a way to manually look at the, maybe it's in the template settings? Let's log out of the Endpoint Manager, log into the Endpoint Manager. In the Endpoint Manager, under the extension mapping section, you can normally map an extension to a template, model, and MAC address. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. You can optionally not define the MAC address or model number, but still map the extension to a specific template for a brand. If you leave the MAC address blank, now when this extension logs in from a phone that matches the brand name, the phone will use the specified template instead of the default template. Okay, that's fine. This still doesn't tell me why the REST API is not working. Does this only work in 13? Login, logout, phone app. All right, let's go take a look at that. The endpoint login, logout application lets you log a user out of a phone and pick a new user to log into the device. Anytime you log out or in, extension point manager, blah, 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 blah. Click one of the following manufacturers to view the guide for this application. I'm not going to answer the phone right now. I'm live streaming. Okay. Let's see. Sangoma. Oh, this is all the same information that I had. It's just not working. Let me reboot the phone one more time just to make sure. Failed to load XML file. I'm trying to think. There's no firewall between here. All right, Hendrik. Thanks for watching, man. We'll see you. We'll see you next time. There's no firewall in place here. I did have a problem with a different customer that wasn't able to load REST apps but I forget what that was. Here's what I'm going to do. Watch this. All right, so I'm going to go to my endpoint manager, settings, endpoint manager. Okay, I'm going to create a new template, Sangoma, and we're going to say new template, and we're going to call this Sangoma, we're going to call this S500 test. Okay, so default, no, we'll not leave it default. I want the internal IP, backup destination address. I don't need any of this stuff. Time zone is -8. Fine. Background image is going to be crosstalk. I don't need any of this stuff. Don't care about the firmware. Okay. Don't need any of this. HTTP save template. All right, Brian, no problem, man. Good luck with your failed client router. Okay, so let's look at our S500 phone. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to manually put these buttons on. So I've got line, intercom. So I'm going to put some new apps here. So line key 5, we're going to say XML API, and we're going to say REST login. And I'm also going to put XML API, and we're going to do, we'll do, I don't know, pick one, queues. I just want to see if REST apps are working in the first place. Save model. All right, save template. And rebuild configs. Okay, so let's see if this works instead. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to now assign an extension manually to this phone. I'm going to put the MAC address into one of the extensions. I'll use Donald Trump. All right, so let's go extensions. We're going to bring up Donald Trump. Hey, everybody. Welcome, 18 people watching. Thank you for joining me. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to put those into the YouTube comment section, and I will get to all of your questions. So let me do this real quick, and then I got another question to answer. So Donald Trump, we're going to scroll down to the endpoint manager, and we're going to say put in the MAC address of 005.058.5000D5. Okay, so by putting this in, and we're going to set the template to the test one that we just created. Okay, so now by doing that, it should submit. It should grab that template that I just set up. And then that'll have the REST apps on the phone, and I'll be able to see if the REST apps are working right on the phone or not. Guys, I hate it when stuff doesn't work. It drives me insane, right? So I'm sure like most IT people out there, it just sticks in my craw and keeps me up at night when something's not working because I know there's a solution to it, and when I can't figure it out, I hate it. I just hate it. Okay, so one sunny day. Thank you for joining and thank you for watching. Question, super noob. Are you a super noob or are you calling me a super noob? I have built a server. All right, that finished loading. I'm going to reboot this phone the old-fashioned way. Unplug and plug back in. I have built a server thanks to your help. In the UK, I have 2 BT, that's British Telecom, landlines, which I would like to connect. I am going to purchase an FXO PCIe card from Digium. Will this interface with FreePBX? The answer is yes. Yes, it will interface with FreePBX. However, I would strongly recommend the Sangoma FXO PCIe card instead. I'll show you which one. All right, so let's look at our Asterisk TDM cards. I don't prefer the Digium cards. I personally just prefer the Sangoma TDM cards. So you can do the Sangoma A200. I highly recommend you get the one with echo cancellation. So that's the Sangoma A200 series with echo cancellation. And then you add on to it whichever ports you want. So it can have up to two modules, right? So you've got, where are the modules? Hang on a second. Here they are. Sangoma components, right? So you've got FXS module, which is not what you want. But here's the 2-port FXO module. So basically it's $455 for the base card plus $99 for the 2-port FXO module for just about, what was that, $554? And then that's your 2-port card. And then you still have 2 ports available. You can add another module down the road if you want. So that's what I would recommend. No, I have not tried Baronet gateways. Pardon me. Sorry for the coughing, guys. I can edit that out of my normal videos, but I've been sick the last couple of weeks. My whole family's had this thing going around, and just still have that lingering cough. I think it's kind of been going around the country, at least here in the Pacific Northwest. Okay, so let's take a look at this. All right, we can see that the phone rebooted. And now I have a new extension, and I've got those buttons that I set up, login and queue. So let's try it. Login. Failed to load XML. All right, let's try queues. Failed to load XML. Okay, so what that tells me is that in actuality, my REST apps aren't working at all in FreePBX. So let's try to figure that out. And there is a way, let me go back to this screen. There is a way, I'm trying to think of how the heck to do it. There is a way to manually check your REST apps. I'm going to have to find out how to do that. So REST API, well, let me just make sure that everything's licensed properly. I think it said it was licensed, but let's look at my system admin. This is my demo server, so I pretty much have every single, app or module that you can get. So REST API, right? Expiration date is November. REST apps, expiration date November. So that is all working. So what could be the problem? Let me look at my intrusion detection. It's not going to be intrusion detection because I'm sure I have my subnet whitelisted. I do. No banned IPs. So why are my REST apps not working? All right, so let's do a little research, shall we? Here we go. Commercial modules, module guides, phone apps, hot desking. Okay, so RESTful apps, adding a phone application to a device, user guides, call flow control. Okay, so none of these apps seem to be working. Like the queue isn't working, for instance. Wait a minute. Do I have to enable REST apps for this user? Hang on, that might be it. User management. Donald Trump. REST API is enabled for Donald Trump. Okay. Well, that was worth a shot. Let's see. So what about Hillary Clinton? All right, Hillary Clinton. REST API is enabled. Okay. I think there's a place where I have to enable REST apps as well, but I could have sworn those were already set up. Let's take a look. Asterisk REST interface users. Add asterisk REST interface user. Asterisk REST interface is currently disabled in advanced settings. All right. Advanced settings. Oh, here we go. Enable the asterisk REST interface. True. Would have thought that would have already been enabled. Let me apply my config and see if that does it. "16 people watching. Thanks everyone who's joined the stream. I appreciate you. I hope you're having a wonderful Friday afternoon. Is anyone drinking out there? Anyone have a beer? Maybe I should go grab a beer. Of course, it's like only 1 o'clock. It's almost 1 o'clock Pacific time. For some reason, I feel like having a beer. It's 1 o'clock Pacific time. All right, so I enabled that. Let's see if that's working now. Loading, please wait. Failed to load XML file. So still not working. All right, so maybe now I need to add REST users, REST interface users. See, I think the REST, and again, I'm not entirely familiar with this, but I feel like the REST interface is different. Yeah, the REST interface is for the API. I don't think that has anything to do with the REST apps, the phone REST apps. Let's see if there's anything to do with the REST apps in here. Yeah, it's 9:50 p.m. in the Netherlands, so I should have a beer out here in California, or in Oregon. I might use that excuse. We'll see if I feel like it in just a little bit. The problem with having a beer this early on a Friday afternoon is that I'm probably only going to have one, and then by like 3 or 4 p.m. I'm going to want to take a nap, right? The rest of my evening is kind of shot, so I'll probably, maybe I won't do that. Maybe next time I do a live stream, I'll do it later in the evening where I can just go to sleep afterwards. Boy, this bugs me when stuff doesn't work. Now let me look for REST. REST interface. REST. So that's it. Admin. REST phone applications. For information about this module, please visit the phone apps wiki page. Queues. All right, we'll look at our queues module, because I don't think you have to turn any of these on or off. No, hide idle screen display. No, so these should all work. In fact, you know what? I'm going to plug in my big phone back here, and I'm going to fire it up, because this phone, I believe, has working REST apps. So it might just be a problem with this Sangoma phone for some reason. In fact, my own Yalink phone, yeah, my Yalink phone on my desk is working. So it's fine with the REST apps. Okay, so let's see, LAN. Shoot, where can I plug this in? Where does this go? That goes upstairs. All right. LAN, and let me get another cable here. All right, so we are firing up the Big Daddy phone. Okay. Internet, there we go. Look at that. Can you guys see that phone? Oh, it's a little... There we go, look at that. Look at the size of that screen, holy moly. It's amazing. All right, we're gonna let that fire up. And I'm really only firing that up to test out the REST apps. But again, I just tested them on my Yalink T23G that's sitting on my desk here, and the REST apps do work on that one. So why do the REST apps work there on that phone and not work on this phone? In fact, let me do this. I'm going to go to my endpoint manager again. And what I have working on the Yalink T23G is the apps button. So when you click apps, it basically allows you to scroll through and pick different apps. One of which is Endpoint Manager, and I have log in, log out. Like, it's working fine on my Yalink phone. All right, so let's look again here. Let me just double check. Global settings. Get you guys back so you can see what I'm doing here. Global settings. XML default login is enabled. I don't think there's any other settings that I would need for this. Okay, so Sangoma. Let me just double check all of my Sangoma settings. I'm going to bring up this template. Okay, daylight savings, line enable, multicast enable. No, none of that would have anything to do with it. Screensaver, timeout, phone headset, call waiting signal, BLF alert, hotline, which I don't know what hotline is, provision server address, so there's nothing to do with REST apps enabled or disabled on this Sangoma phone. And by the way, so here's my big phone booted up now. Let's go back to this view. And we can see my logo is not stretched out. It looks good on this phone. And if I hit like queues, loading, please wait. There we go. And the queues app works. Okay? So I can scroll through and I can log into my queues, right? Let me get out of here. If I hit agent status, I can see my agent status app is working. So this phone is connected to this server and the REST apps are working. So I know that it's something to do now with the Sangoma phone. All right, so watch this. By the way, this is really cool. I don't know how far. Whoa! I don't know how far I can pull this without pulling it off of the desk here. Maybe I should get a longer cord. All right, I'll do that in a second. But check this out. See if you guys can see this. Get it to where it's not so glary. You talk about BLF and the ability to see status of stuff. Watch this. If I hit this login, logout button.
Agent logged off.
Logged off. Watch this.
Agent logged in.
Logged in.
0, 1.
Logged in, and now look at the agent status button. I don't know if you can see that or not, is red. So now, when I'm logged in, I can see that I'm logged in because the status, the RESTful app is telling me that the status is red. I hit that agent status button, and I can pull it up. I can see that I'm logged into support. I can open that up. I can pause myself in that queue. So now I'm paused in that queue. I can unpause myself. So that's basically saying I'm gonna, run to the bathroom or do whatever, and don't send me calls. And I can log in, log out. Now I'm logged out. My agent status button went back to blue. So these REST apps are really cool in what they can do, but man, they got to be working, right? So for whatever reason, this one does not seem to be working from this phone. And by the way, I'm plugged into the exact same switch and everything as that other phone, so I know it's something to do with this phone itself. All right, so let's see. I was going to add the actual apps button. So let's go to here. Let's go to S500. If you guys have any questions or anything else that you want to see while I'm doing all this stuff, just let me know. I'm happy to show you stuff. I'm happy to answer questions. What I'm going to add here is the apps button. And the apps button means that when I hit it, it should give me a list of all of the RESTful apps, including queues and login and parking and conferencing and all of the cool apps that they've got as part of this. So let's see here. Oh, sorry, hang on. Whoop, I always forget to do that. So, okay, so I added, basically I went in here and I added this third button here, REST apps, to the endpoint manager. All right, so save that. And save template. And rebuild configs. All right, Patrick, have a good one. Listen, if you guys do have to leave early, keep in mind that this live stream will be up on YouTube after I'm done, so you can always come back and watch it later. All right, now I'm going to go to my extension mapping. I'm going to see if this works at least. I'm going to try to... Here's my Donald Trump phone. I'm going to say save and reboot. Use selected. Let's see if it'll at least reboot the phone. All right, so it saved it. Let's see. Oh, I've got the button. Look, the button just showed up right there. Let's see if it reboots. Does it even need to reboot? Is it going to reboot? No, I don't know. Well, regardless, it did get the apps button. Let's try to press it. Failed to load XML file. Man. Why are the Sangoma phones not allowing the XML file to load? Maybe I'll try IRC. Hang on a second. Let's try it. Let's see if anyone's online that can help me out with this. So I'm in my second monitor logging into IRC. I'm going to join the FreePBX channel on Freenode and see if any of the developers are in there. Man, look at that. I need a haircut. I hate seeing myself on camera sometimes. All right, so let's connect. Sorry, I'm sure you guys can hear my system audio. That's annoying, I know. All right, pound FreePBX join. Hey guys, here, I'll put this over here. Apologies in advance. They tend to be a little crass with their language on this channel. I'm doing a FreePBX live stream. Working on. Let's see, I'm doing a FreePBX live stream on YouTube right now, and I have a Sangoma S500 that I'm trying to get RESTful apps working on. It keeps saying failed to load XML, but my Yalink phones connected to the same FreePBX load the apps, no problem. Any ideas? FreePBX 12 with asterisk 11. Let's see if anyone responds back. All right, so I'm going to let that one float out there, see if they give me any help with that. And in the meantime, let's see. Oh, sorry, guys. Hang on a second. Boop. I always forget to do that. Here we go. All right, so this is what I was writing on the IRC channel. I wish the text was bigger. Can you make text bigger in this thing? View, font, size. Here we go. Oh, what? 9. That's all I can do? Ah, blah. All right, so let's see here. So far, no one's answering my question, but we'll see if anyone gets to it. I know, like, the developers, here's like James Finstrom is on here. Rob Thomas is on here. So there are people that are logged in right now that could probably help me out with this, but we'll see if they actually get back to me. Yep, nothing so far. All right, so I'm just going to put this off to the side, and if I see that they are answering my question, I will bring them back in. In the meantime, I'll probably just move on to something else. Okay, so question from Jay Christofferson. Hey Jay, how you doing? Would the phone or the PBX have a log file that would show the attempt to access the XML file? That is a very good question, and probably, so let's go take a look at that. I would imagine that it would be in the HTTP access log. So let's see, if I go to cd var log, cd httpd, tail-f access underscore log. Oh, see, look, there's get applications, Sangoma S500. Oh, whoops. Sorry. There we go. Make it a little bit bigger here. Okay. So, yeah, look, right here. Get applications.php REST apps main user blah, blah, blah. And here's the field, Sangoma S500. So let me hit the button again, apps. Oh, look, it tried it again, but did not work. Okay, so now watch this. I'm going to copy this. Sorry, I'm keeping my eye on that IRC channel. All right, so let's go 192.168.200.5, paste, applications.php REST apps main user 208. Not found. So the URL applications.php REST apps main was not found on this server. Interesting. All right, let me see what happens when I do it from my phone here. Apps. Okay, so same. Ooh, I think I hear thunder outside. We got a little bit of a storm coming in, guys. All right, so let me try that with the same thing, but user 192.168 applications.php rest apps main user equals 208. Let's try user equals 200. And same thing, 404 not found. Let me try a different app. Let me try the call parking app. Okay. So here we have a different one. Get applications PHP parking main line state blah 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 blah. All right, control insert. All right. Shift insert. Okay, the URL applications.php parking main was not found on this server. So I must not be pulling up the right URL because it should give me something back. https://. Okay. No, didn't like that either. Nope, applications.php not working. Nope, not working. And no one's responding to me on IRC. Okay, well, that's crappy. Let's see. Let me think about this. I think you're on the right. I think you're definitely in the right area here because look, if I do this button, apps, that works. HTTP 200, which I think means everything's A-okay. If I do this button's apps, oh, it does the same thing. So get applications PHP REST apps main user. So it looks like it's working, but not pulling it up on the Sangoma phone for some reason. Let's just see if there's a, let's see, Sangoma S500 REST apps not working. When in doubt, Google, right? Time conditions queues, enabling phone apps on a Sangoma phone. Adding, okay, this is Wiki's been updated for version 13 of your GUI, so I don't have 13, but okay, so adding the RESTful application to a device requires that you have RESTful application module installed with valid license. I do. Okay. Sangoma phone notes. If you're using a Sangoma S500 or 700, you do not need to purchase the phone apps module or endpoint manager module, as these modules will work with Sangoma phones out of the box, no license purchasing needed. Okay. Number 1, verify RESTful API is enabled for this user. Review the user management module user guide for full details on the user management module, which includes the ability to enable REST API users. Below, we will cover just the needs for the REST API under section of user management that we need for phone apps to work. Navigate to user management. Edit a user that you want to enable API access. So RESTful API enabled, yes. Let's double check our user. I think we already did this, but let's go take a look anyways. Extensions. Donald Trump. Again, this is 12 and not 13, so maybe that has something to do with it. Nothing to do with facts. Default, user manager settings, user 208, voicemail, iSymphony, VMX locator, optional destinations. Okay, so there's nothing in the extension setup related to REST, right? Nothing found. Okay, let's go to the user again, user management. Yes, Jay, you're exactly right. It did return error code 200, which means that it should be okay. But again, it's just not. It's saying failed to load XML file on the phone itself. Okay, so in user 208, REST API enabled, yes. Authorization, all. Modules, all. Update. Apply config. Yeah, I might need to update to 13. That is an interesting question. I do have a FreePBX 13 test server, but I don't have any of these. Well, it's a Sangoma phone, so according to the documentation, I shouldn't need the REST apps or the endpoint manager on FreePBX 13. The problem is I would also have to disable option 66 on my firewall. I guess that's probably not that big a deal. But I'm more inclined to do that off-camera. Apps. Failed to load XML file. Man, that sucks. It's really disappointing if this doesn't work in FreePBX 12. Make sure the user is linked to which extensions we want the REST API to be used with. All right, let's check that. Just want to make sure that everything's checked. Linked extension, Donald Trump 208. Yes, okay, Donald Trump 208. Allowed settings, allowed CDR, allowed conference bridges, allowed endpoints. Let's check that box. Update. Apply. It would be kind of silly if that was the issue. Let me keep reading this while that's applying. Verify the user has permissions to all of the modules. We did that. You can actually change the default rate limit. Applications are already mapped to the phones. Yeah. All right, so everything looks good. Try it again. Failed to load XML file. All right, so it might just be a FreePBX 13 thing. Let's try it. Let's ask this. Does anyone know if REST apps work with Sangoma phones on FreePBX 12? I doubt it on 12. No idea, though. Okay. I mean, honestly, if they don't work on 12, there should be something that says that somewhere. I mean, you'd think there'd be something that says that somewhere, because all of the functionality is here. All of the functionality is in FreePBX 12 for RESTful apps to work. And they do work fine in 12 for my 2 Yalink phones that I have set up here. So that would be ultra crappy if that did not work. All right, so let's just see. I'm not going to spend any more time on this, though. I'm really not interested in wasting all your guys' time trying to spin my wheels on this problem. So I'm just going to have to give up on this one for now. I will try to figure it out. If I do get it figured out, I will put a video out about it. But that's rather disappointing, unfortunately. I really wish that it would. I really wish that it was working. I mean, like, why would it allow me to put the login button? Like, I could put all the buttons on the phone, no problem. I'm just going to try one more thing. Does the Sangoma phone have a local log? That's a good question. I don't know. Just keeps saying failed to load XML file when you hit them. All permissions are good and REST is enabled. these REST apps work fine in FreePBX 12 on my Yalink phones connected to the same server. Sangoma phones haven't launched yet, so they probably expect people to have 13 by the time they launch. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think actually the Sangoma phones have launched, if I'm not mistaken, because I believe I can buy them. Let me look at my portal real quick. I'm gonna do this off to the side. Don't want you guys to see my amazing pricing on this stuff. All right, let's see. Sangoma IP phones. Let's see if I can order them. Store. Sangoma phones. Yeah, so I can order Sangoma phones. Can you load the URL the phone is trying to reach in a browser? I cannot. However, error 404. So the HTTP logs show 200. Okay. So yeah, these phones are available. Let's see, wait a minute. Sangoma launches the first... Oh, expected deliveries for the phones is March 2016. All right, let me check. That's a good question. Let me check. Let me check. Just asking to check the error log. Okay, so let's go check my error log. Okay. Cat or tail. No, cat error log. Var dub HTML application.php not found or unavailable to start. Oh, unavailable to stat. Alright, so there's an error. Interesting. I do get an error. Let's make sure that file's there. cd var log httpd. No, cd, what was it? Var www.html. www.html. Nope. Nope. All right, so let's look at REST apps. There it is. There's applications.php. So if I pull up, where was that page? 192. Let me look at my log again. Var www. No, var log httpd cat. Let's do tail dash f access log. Get slash applications REST apps main user 208. If I do applications PHP slash REST apps, get, wait a minute, is that right? See, it works for this. Slash, is it slash REST apps slash applications.php REST apps? Yeah, okay, that works. So user 208, and that works as well. Interesting. All right, so let's do this. Very interesting. Very interesting. By the way, say hi. You're on the live stream. Okay, so check what port the Sangomas are looking at. Okay, so let's check the ports. Not sure why the... Alright. Alfie, hello. How are you today? Alright, so check what port the Sangomas are looking at versus the Yalinks. Okay, so that's our next thing. Alright, so port. Let's look at our ports. Admin. REST phone applications. Let's see what port these are. Let's see. Applications. No settings. Presence, queues, parking. Where do we see the port for these apps? Settings. Endpoint manager. Okay. I know he means on the phone, Alec. I'm just actually looking for what the port should be so that I can check the phone. Okay, so global settings. Here we go. RESTful apps port 84. Use sysadmin to set RESTful apps port. All right, admin, sysadmin. Port management. Okay, so RESTful phone apps, yeah, port 84. Let's see here. How do we tell in the phone what port it is? Click to relog in. Admin 222222. Yep, no, you're exactly right, Alec. That's where I am going right now. So where do I find account? Where would that be in here? Okay, settings. Preference. XML. I'm looking for anything to do with XML. Account. Basic. Account. Advanced. Tell me if you guys see it and I don't. Oh, you know what I do want to check though is this. Because it was slash application, so it must be port 84 colon 84 slash applications 208. Yeah, see? Okay, so that works. So that's why it's the slash application. Slash applications is a virtual server, I guess you call it. Look on the phone. That is how the grant streams work. It is easier. I am looking on the phone. I know there's a bit of a delay, guys, so sorry. I'll catch up to you, I promise. Or you'll catch up to me, I guess. Oh, you're saying you talk about the display of the phone? I'm actually going to try to find it in here. I'm sure it's got to be in here somewhere. Let's look at settings, features, forward, do not disturb, hotline. Here's that hotline again. Transfer settings, call pickup, phone lock, call waiting, alert ring, alert redial. That's not it. Date and time, tone, soft key layout, TRO69. Let's look under preference again. Let's see if my guy said anything here. Oh, language, gentlemen. Okay, so I don't see any ports in here. Where are the dang XML settings? Management? No, they wouldn't be in here, would they? No. Maybe? No. Password, upgrade, auto provision. Let's see, auto provision? Wallpaper URL. There's that one. Okay, phone book XML download. That's not it. You know what? Maybe it's in the function keys. Hang on a second. Line keys. Let's look at this. This might just be a error in. Here we go. Hold up. Hold up. Okay, so yeah, it's 192.168.200.5:84 / applications.php / endpoint / main user blah 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 blah. Okay, so wait a minute. So if I copy that and I paste it here, paste it here. Okay, it does bring up the correct. It does bring up the correct URL. So in the phone, the button is set correctly. The XML browser button is set correctly. Let me just double check that that one's not working. Log in. Failed to load XML file. So it is getting to the server and not getting a good response back somehow. Let's see if this one queues. :84 / applications. Yep, that's all working. XML browser, :84 / applications, PHP REST apps main user 208. So, okay, so the XML values are there. It's just not, like, it's not getting a response back, or it's not allowed to download the file or something. What firmware am I on? Let's see if there's a new firmware maybe. Status. All right, firmware version. Looks like 2.0.3.96. All right, let's do this. Let me look at my endpoint manager. Settings, endpoint manager. Thanks for helping me figure this out, guys. This is awesome. Let me check the IRC, see if these guys are saying anything. So the buttons on the phone are set correctly for the REST apps, but it's still giving me failed to load XML. It's like the apps aren't, it's like the request is fine, but the apps aren't getting back to the phone. Ah, hello from Nigeria. Welcome. Welcome to the stream. Nigeria, you might have the record for the furthest distance watching this stream. I don't know. We had a guy from Sweden earlier, so I don't know if from Oregon, what's further, Sweden or Nigeria? It looks like they were set up properly. Assigned to the key in the phone had the correct URL. But it just is not working. Loading the apps. Okay, so Pennsylvania, Alec, is not nearly as far as Nigeria. That I know. I'm not great on geography, but that I definitely do know. Okay, TCP dump port 84. See if anything comes across. I am getting the 200 OK on the access log, but you're saying TCP dump port 84 for the response? Because I am getting an error, because we did see that there was an error, an HTTP error in the error log. Cat error underscore log. Yeah. File does not exist. Oh, fave icon. I don't know what that is, but you should see the request come in that port. I do. Oh, okay. All right, well, anyone know the TCP dump command for looking at port 84? I'd have to look that up on Google. Monitor a port with TCP dump. Capture and record specific protocols. Okay, TCP dump. TCP dump -I ETH0 port 84. All right, let me hit the button. Okay. Yes, that worked. Okay, so let's take a look at this. Okay, so yes, TCP dump on port 84 shows the request come in. I was going somewhere else too. What the heck was I gonna do a second ago? What was I gonna do? Ping. Okay, well, I think I spelled behaves wrong. Isn't there an I in there somewhere? B-E-H-A-I-V-E-S? Behaves? H-A-I-V-E-S? Yeah, I spelled that wrong. Okay, all right, so I know what I was going to do. I was going to try to see if there's any firmware update. All right, so let's go to my endpoint manager. Let's look at our firmware management. Okay, so Sangoma. Available firmwares, let's look at 1.02. Let's put it in firmware slot 1, and that's going to be 2.0.3.97. 2.0.3.96. All right, so that is one newer. Okay, so let's see if that... Sorry, I'm telling him he can check the live stream. Okay. Okay, so firmware slot 1. Okay, so let's see. I put that there. We're going to submit that. And let's go to back to the phone. We're going to click on my test template. And we're going to pull up firmware. We want to use firmware slot 1. Okay, so you guys see how I did that there? I don't know if you guys can hear that. It just started hailing outside. Holy moly. Okay, so firmware slot 1, save template. And rebuild configs. All right, so let's see what this does here. I'm going to go back to my extension mapping. Make sure that everything is green, and it is. And we're going to hard boot this thing. Power off and power on. Okay, so now we're coming back on. Another cool thing about this phone, this light, the logo, lights up when it receives an IP address. So I don't know if you can watch that. So once it gets an IP from DHCP, this will light up. There it goes. Pretty cool. So just an easy way to see if it's got an IP or not. All right, so I'm going to let that do its thing. Let's see. Jay Christofferson, the reason I was asking about the local phone logs is to rule out the phone not interpreting the XML that is receiving. That is possible. Certainly is possible. I just think it's something with the phone. Like I said, these are brand new phones. They probably just don't quite work properly yet. So we will have to see. If you guys have any questions, now's the time to ask. I've got nothing going on while this phone is downloading its firmware. Let's put this on here. You see the phone is initializing right now. All right, let's see. Chris, what should I Google to fix my firewall, which is stopping two-way audio? Okay, so it's a pretty in-depth question, right? It also depends on like what's your version of firewall, how is it set, but basically, hang on. Sorry guys, I did mention earlier that, oh, you know what? Got a drink here. A Boost. You guys ever drink Boost? 26 essential vitamins and minerals. This is apparently just a good lunch replacement. Instead of beer, I'll follow this up with a beer. Maybe I'll just put some like brandy in this or something. That'll be my drink. So no, Alec, not the FreePBX firewall. This is going to be your actual firewall, right? This is going to be your like, you know, if you have a Cisco or a Linksys or a Netgear or something, Ubiquiti, whatever you have in place, that's what I'm talking about. And there's a couple things to check. Number one, do you have SIP ports port forwarded through that firewall, and where are they port forwarded? Are they, so for instance, if you have a phone that's trying to connect outbound to a like a hosted provider or something like that, or like if you just have a, you know, a SIP trunk set up on the phone, okay, so pfSense firewall. So if your phone is trying to connect outbound through that pfSense firewall, first of all, is it allowed to connect outbound on SIP ports? Second of all, do you have any incoming SIP ports opened up to a different server? Like, did you have a phone server in place at one point where you're sending a SIP request out, and then the request is coming back to the firewall, and your firewall has port forwarding rules that say, hey, send those SIP requests over here, even though the phone's over there, right? So that would be another thing, you know, to check. And then, I don't know pfSense at all, but there are a lot of firewalls that have a thing called SIP ALG, and it stands for Application Layer Gateway. And SIP ALG is meant to enhance SIP functionality, but it usually does more harm than good. So that would be the next thing I would check is SIP ALG enabled or turned off. Anyone else who might know pfSense, let Alec know if SIP ALG is a thing in pfSense firewalls. All right, how's that for Boost? Okay, so the phone was initializing. It looks like it downloaded its firmware, and now it is checking firmware again. So it looks like it did update, and now it's back online. Make sure it came up in asterisk. By the way, you can see this in asterisk without going into SSH. If you go to asterisk, reports, asterisk info, you can see how many phones are registered online. And then if you do peers, if you click on the peer, oh, sorry guys, I always forget to turn off my stupid full screen. Okay, here we go. So I did reports, asterisk info, and then you can click on peers right here, and it will show you who's connected. So this is Donald Trump extension 208, and we can see that it is indeed connected okay. I mean, earlier when you mentioned it, I unplugged it and just used the Netgear firewall, which is built in the router, so I don't know at this point. Okay, again, without getting into too big a discussion about firewalls, there's also a thing you have to check out for called double NAT. Sometimes double NAT will screw you up, and that's where you have a situation where your WAN IP address lives on your ISP's modem, and then there's a private LAN between the backside of your ISP's modem and the front side of your pfSense firewall, or whatever firewall. Right, so what you want to do is have your ISP bridge through the WAN IP so that the WAN IP address lives on the front side of your equipment, not on the ISP's equipment. And that's a kind of a confusing concept, but that is something that may or may not be a problem. All right, so what do you guys think? Apps, I have not hit the button yet. What do you think? Is it going to work? Is it going to not going to work? My guess is that it is not going to work. Let's try to get this up here. So log in. Failed to load XML. Greetings from Poland. I have Polish ancestry running through my blood. All right, so queues. Loading, please wait. Failed to load XML file. Apps. Loading, please wait. Failed to load XML file. Okay, so for whatever reason, the RESTful apps are not yet working in the Sangoma S500 or any of the Sangoma phone. Maybe, I don't know. I don't have all the Sangoma phones, so I can't tell you. But maybe. Just checking if anyone responded in the IRC channel. They did not. Okay, so let me go back here. Might be a glitch. But again, guys, if there are one-way audio problems, most of the time, one-way audio problems are related to your firewall. Most of the time. And when I say most of the time, I mean like 99% of the time. Okay, let's go back to this. I'll tell you what, we got some more time. I'm happy to answer some questions. Why don't we try to set up one of our commercial modules? So let's go take a look at what we have. Like I've got the appointment reminder, Conferences Pro. Not that interested in Conferences Pro. Let's see, are there any other cool things in here? Voicemail notifications, that might be a good one to set up. Let's go take a look at what I have. System admin. Oh boy, that is a heck of a question, man. All right, so questions on dial plan. I don't know if it's appropriate to ask here. I don't think you have made a video on this scenario. I have extensions A, B, C, and D. I want to restrict C and D from calling A. To call A, they have to call B first, and B can patch them into A. Oh, thanks, James. Maybe something with 12. We are dog fooding this, and it is all happy with 13. Yeah, you know, James, I don't doubt that it's probably something to do with 12. It's just... that's the only test server I have with like DHCP set up right now. So I will retest with 13 and report back. But yeah, just so, hey, look, then there's my bug submission, right? Doesn't seem to be working with 12. Okay, so yeah, man, I don't know about the extensions restriction. There is a way to restrict. God, what's the best way to do that? Because you can use like extension routing tool to restrict which outbound trunks a user can call on, but I don't think that restricts like which internal extensions. I don't think that restricts which internal extensions can call each other. And I'm not sure how you lock that down now that I'm thinking about it. Is there a way to lock down extensions from not being able to call each other from within the local system. I actually have never run into that scenario. I've never had someone, I mean, you're kind of like almost setting up use context. Yeah, you could use context, but again, I'm thinking about like built into the FreePBX interface, because most people that are going to be using this type of stuff are trying to do it in the PBX interface, and they don't want to do any context programming, right? So that's a good question. I don't know for sure if you can do that. You can maybe, well, let's see, call groups. Oh, call groups. Maybe it's call groups? What does call groups do? I don't even know what call groups does. Call groups. Where do you set up call groups? Ring groups. No. I don't know what call groups does. I've never used that setting. Call groups. Call groups that this device is a part of can be one or more call groups. For instance, 1, 3 through 5 would be in groups 1, 3, 4, 5. One company equals one PBX. Yes, Posy P. I totally agree with you. One company equals one PBX. So what he means by that, by the way, is that sort of what, I hope I don't destroy your name, Adebayo. No, I think you said you had a different, what was it? You said it was something, when you said greetings from Nigeria, you gave me a different name. I forget what it is. Anyways, what Posy is saying is that what you're describing is more of a like multi-tenant functionality, right? So trying to squeeze multiple companies into a single instance of FreePBX, right? And that's maybe what you're trying to do, maybe not what you're trying to do, but it's never really recommended to do that because FreePBX is not a multi-tenant phone system or phone server. Call group is multiple ring. It is? Well, I thought ring group would be multiple ring. I don't know what call group is. Hang on a second. Let's Google knows everything, right? Google FreePBX. Google. I don't need to type Google. FreePBX call groups. Let's see. Ring groups module. How to answer a call. How to pick up a call, ring another extension. Ring groups. FreePBX call groups, pickup groups, and directed call. All right, let's take a look at this. Oh, okay. Wait a minute. This is from 2009, but let's see here. The easiest feature to use is directed call pickup. If you hear a phone ringing and you know the extension simply from any other phone dial ## extension number, okay. More complicated is call groups and pickup groups. Here are some general rules. Group call pickup feature code is *8 and can be changed, disabled in feature code page. An extension can only belong to one call group. Well, that's not true because it said you can put in there. You can put multiple in there. All right, so I don't know exactly what this means. That's goofy. But I think what they're saying here is you could put a phone into a call group and then use a feature code to pick up a call ringing on any phone in that call group, if I'm not mistaken. At least that's what that article said. This is not really something that I usually use. Asterisk call groups and pickup groups. Let's see. If anyone has experience in these call groups, let me know. This is a very unused feature. Call groups are not intended to call a group of phones. All a call group entry does is help define who is permitted to perform a pickup for which call. If you would like to call a group of phones, then you need to use queues or basically a ring group. All right, so I don't know what that is, but oh, I got the pronunciation right. All right, good. Good for me. Okay, well, regardless, let's see here. Okay, so we got that. Let me go back to what I was doing, which is maybe, you know what? Starting the stream.